All right. Well, unfortunately, a tentative non-confirmation was returned. It appears the information I entered doesn't match with the Social Security Administration's information. I've printed out your TNC notice.
I don't know. Will I be fired?
Hi, I'm Sandra Young. I'm speaking on behalf of the Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties at the Department of Homeland Security. Over the next few minutes, we're going to be talking about the significance of following proper procedures when using E-Verify. This program enables employers to verify that their employees are authorized to work in the United States. It does this by matching information from the Form I-9 to government databases. It's important for you to understand that by using the system correctly, you are not only protecting your employees, but you are also protecting yourself and your company. Okay, let's get started and discuss your role in using E-Verify. While E-Verify is simple to use, it does require diligence and attention to detail, as well as an understanding of your corporate responsibilities and your employees' rights. Misuse of E-Verify may have significant consequences for both parties. While we'll be discussing proper procedures for using E-Verify, please note that this video will not cover step-by-step instructions for how to use E-Verify. Rather, it's designed to help you understand your responsibilities as an employer and the rights of your employees as they relate to E-Verify. We're going to do this by taking a look into a typical HR department and an E-Verify training seminar. This should answer many questions you may have.
Hey, Michael, I wanted to talk to you for a minute about E-Verify. Did you take the tutorial?
Yeah, I took the tutorial and I passed. Seems straightforward and I'm pretty confident about how to use it.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to use. But I want to go over the importance of using the proper procedures every time. I'm going out of town for a couple of weeks and I want to make sure you have it down.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, let's talk about what happens if you've gone through the process of hiring someone, you've entered the Form I-9 data into E-Verify, then it comes back a tentative non-confirmation or a verification in process. What are some of the reasons why that may occur?
Well, I guess it's because the employee didn't give us the right information, and it's either not matching up with the Social Security Administration database or the Department of Homeland Security databases.
That is possible, but there are other reasons why it may occur. And it might surprise you to know that you can avoid a tentative non-confirmation altogether if you're diligent and double-check your work. A lot of mistakes are made by incorrectly typing information. Then it becomes stressful for you and time-consuming for both you and the employee to try and clear up the tentative non-confirmation.
Oh, you're right. I remember from the USCIS E-Verify seminar I took a few weeks ago, they were talking about common reasons why tentative non-confirmations occur.
It's important to understand why tentative non-confirmations, or TNCs, occur. There are several reasons why someone who is authorized to work may receive a TNC. Never assume that a TNC means the employee is not authorized to work in the United States. In some cases, there may be discrepancies or obsolete data in government databases that need to be resolved. For example, a person may have failed to notify the Social Security Administration of a legal name change after getting married, or that he or she is now a naturalized citizen. Another common reason is employer mistakes. I mean, something as simple as entering one wrong number into the system. And you've created stress and frustration for not only yourself, but also the newly hired employee. It's a very sensitive time when someone receives a TNC. They must resolve it to keep their job. And that's why it's imperative that you double check the data you enter every time. Or perhaps the error was made when the government created a person's record. Or it is possible that a person's name doesn't fit our traditional naming conventions, perhaps using a middle name as a last name. The point is, there are numerous reasons for a tentative non-confirmation, and you can't assume that any employee who receives a TNC is not authorized to work in the United States.
I recently handled the TNC.
Really? What did you do?
Well, I read over the TNC notice and called the employee into my office. As you might imagine, receiving a TNC can be a sensitive issue for an employee, so I really like to discuss it in person and in a private place. Some employees tend to panic and think they're going to lose their job.
Will I be fired?
So it's our role to talk to them calmly and remind them of their rights.
Okay.
In this recent case, the employee's first language was Spanish, so I printed the TNC notice in Spanish. Remember, it's the employee's right to have a hard copy of the form. And then I went over it with her and made sure she understood what it meant. Employees are new to this process too. Then together, we went over the information that I had entered into E-Verify to make sure I hadn't made any typing mistakes. In this case, I entered everything correctly. Then we discussed what happens next. I explained to her that she had two choices. She could contest the TNC, or she could decide not to challenge it. It was her choice. But if she didn't challenge it, she wouldn't be able to continue her employment.
So what did she do?
She decided to contest the TNC. So while she was still in my office, I went into E-Verify and initiated the referral to the Social Security Administration. That's an important step because that alerts the Social Security Administration and allows me to print a referral letter that tells the employee what she needs to do to resolve the TNC. And the sooner the resolution process can begin, the better it is for everyone involved. After I printed the SSA TNC referral letter, we reviewed it together.
I'm a little nervous about how to approach and talk to an employee that gets a TNC. It seems like it could be a really uncomfortable situation.
Just keep in mind that if you're nervous, they're probably 10 times more nervous. Put yourself in their position. How would you like to be talked to? How would you like your employer to treat you? With respect, compassion, and understanding, right?
Of course.
Always keep that in mind. Our employees are our most important resource, so we want to make sure that they feel respected and appreciated throughout the whole process.
That puts things into perspective.
I also like to look up the contact information for the closest Social Security Administration office for employees who get an SSA TNC. It's one less thing they have to worry about. You can go to the Social Security Administration's website at www.ssa.gov and click on Contact Us to find its locations.
That's a good idea.
So, always do what you can to help the employee through the process. It's not our job to solve their TNC, but just keep thinking on how you would like to be treated if the roles were reversed.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Ms. Brisbane talked about the case resolution process and how a tentative non-confirmation should be handled.
There's a TNC resolution process for both SSA and DHS. To resolve an SSA TNC, the employee must go to an SSA field office. In the case of a DHS TNC, the employee must call the toll-free number for the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services as listed in the referral letter. Now, in both cases, it's up to you, the employers, to check for automated responses through E-Verify after the employee has contacted SSA or DHS. The E-Verify updates will let you know if employment is authorized after the employee has contacted SSA or DHS. Also, SSA may ask you to redo the query and resubmit the case. Question.
If I'm conducting an E-Verify query on an employee and a TNC is returned, how long does my employee have before they have to contact the appropriate agency?
Good question. The employee has 8 federal workdays from the day you give the TNC referral letter to contact the appropriate agency to contest the TNC. Since government agencies are only open during regular business hours, you may need to give your employee time off from work to go to an SSA field office or to call DHS.
What if they contact the appropriate agency within 8 federal workdays, but it takes 10 days or more to determine if our employee is authorized to work? Can we put that person on administrative leave? Or what if we've signed them up for training? I mean, that's a cost to us. Can we postpone their training until the TNC is cleared up?
You would be surprised how many times we have heard that question, and the answer is no. Remember, you cannot terminate the employee or treat him any differently than other employees unless you get a final non-confirmation, no matter how long it takes to go all the way through the process. I mean, only if a final non-confirmation is returned are you allowed to take any action, and the action to take at that time is to terminate the employment.
So I think I have a good grasp on TNCs, but I still have a question about the photo tool. I know the photo tool doesn't cover all photo IDs, but for those pictures that are in the photo tool, how am I supposed to judge if someone else's picture matches up with what they currently look like? I mean, I know my driver's license picture looks nothing like I do now.
Well, that's actually a common misconception about the photo tool. It is not your responsibility to judge whether the picture in E-Verify matches the person sitting in front of you. You've already completed the Form I-9 and concluded that the employee looks like the photograph in the card, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
In E-Verify, what happens is that the system will transmit certain photographs from government databases to your computer screen. The photograph on your screen should match the photograph of the photo ID that was presented by the employee during the I-9 process. So you don't have to worry about making a judgment call on that.
Okay, that's good to know.
So, if you think the photographs don't match, it's considered a TNC. Then you have to give the employee an opportunity to resolve the problem by contesting the TNC. Okay, let's go over the key ground rules to ensure that we don't inadvertently misuse the program. These rules are not just technical. They're also designed to keep us from being sued and protect our workers' rights. 1. E-Verify must be used on all new hires regardless of citizenship, national origin, or ethnicity. 2. We can use E-Verify only after hiring and within 3 days of the employee's start date. We are not allowed to use E-Verify on applicants. 3. We must display the E-Verify poster that notifies employees and applicants that we use E-Verify, and also the Office of Special Counsel Employee Rights poster. And 4. We are prohibited from taking any adverse action against someone because a TNC is returned. We can't put employees with TNCs on unpaid leave, fire them, postpone their training, change their working hours or pay, or do anything else considered adverse to their employment. We don't want someone to file suit against us.
Okay, thanks for the checklist. It's a lot of good information.
It'll become second nature before you know it. You have any other questions?
Yeah, I might have to take a day off of work to help my grandmother move while you're away. Should I give Bob my password so he can run the queries until I get back?
No, absolutely not. Bob is not an authorized user. He hasn't taken the tutorial, and he's not entitled to see the personal data that's contained in E-Verify. And even if he was an authorized user, he'd have to use his own password and login. I can't stress enough. It's imperative that we keep our password secure and confidential. You just can't go around passing it to anybody.
Not even to you, huh?
No, not even to me. That's part of the security of the system. So I hope you have a good understanding on why it's so important to follow the E-Verify procedures properly.
I definitely do now. Thanks, Armando.
No problem. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
We heard our HR professionals talking about the significance of following the proper procedures when using E-Verify and what you can and cannot do when an employee receives a tentative non-confirmation. As employers around the country have begun using E-Verify, the Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties has been able to identify common mistakes that you can avoid to save time, trouble, and the loss of a valuable employee. First, E-Verify may not be used on applicants. It may only be used after hiring an employee. Second, you must give the employee a copy of the TNC notice and referral letter, not just a verbal summary. Third, you must not take any adverse action against the employee while the TNC is being resolved, even if it takes more than 10 days. Fourth, it's important that employees and applicants are informed that E-Verify is in use. That means you have E-Verify and Office of Special Counsel posters on display. Fifth, each authorized user in your company must complete the training tutorial before running any queries. And our sixth lesson learned is that it's crucial to maintain the security of employee information. The easiest way to do that is to maintain control of your password. Don't give it to anyone else. And don't leave it in an obvious place where others might see it. No unauthorized person should be able to view E-Verify information on the computer screen. It is essential that you provide proper guidance to your employees who use E-Verify. Keep in mind that the Department of Homeland Security monitors E-Verify for employer misuse and there are potential sanctions for deliberate employer violations. Misuse may also lead to discrimination complaints against your company. It's important to know that E-Verify continues to evolve, so stay informed about program changes. DHS's goal is to make it even easier to participate in E-Verify and more efficient for verifying employment eligibility. The E-Verify manual, which is available to all registered users, is very helpful. It covers all of the program rules, requirements, and procedures. If you have any more questions, employer and employee hotline numbers are on your screen. Please do not hesitate to contact us. We also have a website that describes in more detail how employers use E-Verify, and it provides helpful guidance and frequently asked questions and answers. Thank you for listening, and we appreciate your participation in E-Verify.